news that's short, sharp and shrewd.
Are you talking about the podcast or me?
Both.
Backhanded compliment.
This is Up Late with Ben Harvey. First gotcha moment of the campaign.
Normally, politicians get tripped up because they don't know the price of everyday items, and it shows they're out of touch.
Can you tell me the price of a loaf of bread, a litre of petrol and a rapid antigen test?
Well, let me talk to you about a couple of things.
ScoMo blamed his missus in that instance because she did all the shopping. It's an old game that journos play to make it look like our MPs live in a very different world to us.
I mean, it's one banana, Michael. What could it cost? $10?
You've never actually set foot in a supermarket, have you?
Albanese's been tripped up for not knowing a couple of numbers arguably more important than the price of a loaf of bread or a banana.
National unemployment rate at the moment is, I think it's 5.4. I'm not sure what it is.
When management of the economy is front and centre of an election campaign, not knowing the official unemployment rate ain't a good look. The unemployment rate is 4%, so Albo's stab in the dark
5.4
was out by 35%. He could see the bus coming straight for him, so he did what any self-respecting politician would do, chuck someone else under it.
Just on Albanese, can we ask Senator Gallagher, your Shadow Finance Minister, some questions?
Sure.
She knew the answers. The Libs will seize on Albanese's gaffe as evidence he's going to ruin the economy.
Yeah, they are hammering the economy story.
And then some.
There are now nearly 2 million Australians more in work today than when we came to government.
But the Liberals, of all people, should know that a strong economy doesn't mean people will necessarily vote for you. In 2007, the Australian economy was belting along. Unemployment was at 4% like now. The economy was growing at 4% like now. We was rich, which prompted the Prime Minister at the time to say working families have never had it so good. And a short time later, we voted for this guy.
My name's Kevin, I'm from Queensland, I'm here to help.
Without realising he was actually this guy.
This language is just complicated.
Yeah, look, you've got to know your facts and figures.
Bill Shorten got sprung in the 2019 federal election debate. He kept banging on about how great it will be when Australians are all driving electric cars, and then he was asked how much one of them cost.
The Nissan Leaf is one of the more popular electric vehicles on the market. How much does that cost?
I haven't bought a new car in a while, so I couldn't tell you.
But shouldn't you know how much that's going to cost?
Well, I can tell you how much an electric car costs more than the same standard. It's $28,000. It's $28,000
well, that's
for the same type of car.
Here's the important thing to remember when you're judging a politician in a gotcha moment. There's a difference between forgetting something and not knowing it in the first place. Shorten simply didn't know. Albo forgot. It happens on both sides. Former WA Liberal leader Lisa Harvey got caught in an Albo trap back in the 2017 state election campaign, which was fought almost exclusively on debt and deficit. When asked about the debt, Lisa said, "I haven't caught up on where we're up to on that at this point of time."
Just f***ing hopeless.
And as for the size of the deficit, she said, "I can get back to you on that. It's frustrating for the pollies when this happens."
You're going to have patience to do it.
Morrison would be frustrated he got no budget bounce in the polls.
Former Labor advisor Daniel Smith has crunched some news poll numbers that will be making Morrison sweat. News poll reports that 26% of voters said they were better off and 25% worse off because of the recent federal budget. 33% said that budget was good for the economy and 23% said it was bad. Now, the 33% good rating is the worst result for that question since 1995, when Paul Keating handed down a set of numbers that paved the way for John Howard to win the next election.
Just ask you about, clearly you both want to be Prime Minister, but it's an issue of leadership.
You reckon those numbers would be keeping the Libs up at night?
Not as much as this one. 40% of voters said the opposition would have done a better job of the budget. The last time an opposition got that high was in May 2013. 3 months later, there was a new government.
Well, that didn't end well.
No, it wasn't the most inspirational period in Australian politics. We can't do inspirational politics anymore, unfortunately. Social media has killed it because inspirational people are often flawed, and social media exposes character flaws very, very quickly. It's an X-ray on a person's soul, present and past.
I have always acknowledged that I come from a place of privilege, but I now need to acknowledge that that comes with a massive blind spot.
We all pine for the good old days of conviction politicians, but imagine if Bob Hawke went to an election today. He spent his prime ministership half cut and by all accounts at more than half mast. He would have lasted 2 minutes in modern politics. The most inspirational politician since Socrates was JFK.
Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
Imagine if you could sext in the 1960s. Half the world would have had a dick pic from it.
Because they are hard.
When the extraordinary come a cropper so fast, you're left with the ordinary. Politicians whose most inspiring election pitch is, I'm not the other guy. And that's what this election is about. It's not the economy or the pandemic or defence. It's Scott Morrison saying, vote for me because I'm not Anthony Albanese, and Anthony Albanese saying, vote for me because I'm not Scott Morrison. It's been this way for the past 4 generations of prime ministerships. Morrison got the gig because he wasn't Peter Dutton. Morrison became Prime Minister because of who he wasn't, not because of who he was. Malcolm Turnbull challenged for the top job at a time when to get the keys to the lodge, all you needed to do was have the guts to put your hand up and a birth certificate proving you weren't Tony Abbott. And Abbott got the job because he wasn't Gillard or Rudd. He wasn't a popular choice as Prime Minister. But Labor's killing season was so appalling, Australia was ready to vote for anything. We've got ourselves to blame for this, you know. We don't necessarily want politicians to fail, but it's so darn entertaining when they do.
Fight like a Chichuana.
So I haven't seen what she said, but let me say I support what it is that she said.
Canada.
5.4.
Please explain.
Not just politicians who can be entertaining.
West Australian online gaming tycoon Lawrence Escalante was broken into over the weekend. Someone got past Lawrence's security team and broke into his South Perth apartment while he was partying at the Aussie Grand Prix. Now, when this happens to ordinary people like you and me, we fill in a police report and wait for the cops not to catch anyone for the crime. Lawrence got drunk and went full Mel Gibson in Ransom, offering cash to anyone who could bring the thief or thieves to justice.
I'm offering this money as a reward on your head.
He used his Instagram account to say his security teams, presumably the same ones who couldn't stop someone breaking into an apartment that can be seen from almost everywhere, had identified a car, quote, lurking around my house as being responsible for the break-in. Then he says, quote, $20,000 cash if you can tell me who the that entered my house were. You now have hundreds of people looking for you, ready to tell me who you are in the coming hours, he says. I'm literally timing how long it takes Perth to tell me who you are. Then a while later, I assume after some sober heads have talked to him, he toned things down. I pity you more, for your life must be so empty as to seek value in stealing baubles from mine.
Well, he's got a lot of baubles. He's worth $2 billion.
Imagine if he put his money into resources. New stats have shown again that WA's mining and energy sector is very, very rich. Total sales of all the bits of WA they blew up to get the good stuff out was $230 billion last year. That was up $53 billion on 2020. Iron ore accounted for $157 billion of the total. Oil and gas sales were $39 billion, up from $27 billion the previous year. Lithium sales hit an all-time high of $2.6 billion. That's 3 times up on 2020.
Bit overheated?
Well, the real proof of that isn't in Monday's business section, it's in Saturday's. WA's Prince of Pleasure, Malcolm Day, is getting out of the sex trade and into the minerals trade. After a lifetime of making money by filling in holes, he's going to have a crack at digging one. The founder of AdultShop.com is turning his ASX-listed entertainment business, Delecta, into a mining company. Now, when a guy who's made his money flogging dildos gets into the base metal sector, you know things are a little crazy.
Be interesting if it bursts before May 21.
Yeah, Morrison and Albo go all the way to polling day talking up their economic credentials, and the shit hits the fan just at the very end.
Up the last word.
If you'd like to watch Up Late with me, Ben Harvey, search for The West Australian on YouTube.